Situation at the southern border further complicated this morning after the Biden administration asked the Supreme Court to end the COVID-era policy called Title 42 after the holidays. Joining me now to talk more about this, Krish O Mara Vignarajah, the president and CEO of Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service. Thank you for being with us. Boy, you guys have your hands full. You have for a while, and you will for a while as this thing works itself out. First of all, your response to the temporary halt of Title 42, the Biden administration's response now delaying its end.
Yeah, so what we've seen is a policy that was initially created and implemented by President Trump and Stephen Miller. Their goal was to create both a literal and a figurative wall. And Title 42 was a key part of their arsenal. It effectively halted asylum law under the pretense of public health, but pretense isn't policy. Title 42 didn't protect the American people from COVID. It wasn't even effective at what it tried to do, which was border enforcement. So we're going to hear, noise in the coming days about what could be an impending crisis, but it doesn't have to be that way. And really what we're talking about is a return to the rule of law, which is that people have a legal right under U.S. and international law to seek asylum. Really, as you said, in terms of what we're seeing images of children, families who are literally fleeing with their lives, fleeing for their lives with just their clothes on their backs. They're escaping unimaginable violence, political persecution, extreme poverty, devastating climate disasters. And that's where we need an orderly process at our border to both make sure people are going through process, but they're also allowed to exercise that legal right.
Title 42, I agree. It's just one cog in the wheel of trying to attack this problem as we see the influx of crossings over the last couple of years, even more so lately. This investigation, though, complicates things, and I want to get your response. Governor Abbott has called for an investigation to whether nonprofit groups, NGOs like yours, are helping people enter the U.S. illegally. How do you respond to that?
I think that it is more political shenanigans rather than accusations based in reality. Faith-based organizations like Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service, our counterparts in terms of, Catholic Charities, highest. We are organizations that have done this work for decades. And I think it bears repeating around Christmas time that Jesus was a refugee. Our work is grounded in helping people, children, parents who want the best for their children, who come through a process, who are seeking asylum, and that is codified in both U.S. law and international law. There is no semblance of any real suggestion that we are violating the law. We are providing basic humanitarian aid.
Have you been asked to save and preserve documents? And then what is your first point of contact with the refugees that you're assisting?
Yeah, so I know that there have been a letter that was sent to our organization, and obviously we'll abide by whatever we need to. I think it's important to understand our work is supported by the U.S. Department of State, the U.S. Health and Human Services Agency. Our contact with these individuals is oftentimes in partnership with the federal government, where when it comes to refugees, these are people who have gone through extreme vetting. They have been approved to come into the U.S. With asylum seekers, they have gone through Customs and Border Protection. They're not digging a hole in the ground and somehow coming into our offices. So that's where these absurd claims, we need to stop allowing for the fiction, and we need to ground a humane, orderly process in fact. Most Americans support asylum seekers. And so this is where we need political leaders who will lead, not who will try to score political points.
There's a lot of finger pointing going on, and you're at the front line of receiving these people after this often deadly and dangerous journey. What is your message to Congress right now as they debate a solution?
We need both the administration and Congress to understand that when we look at the border, what we're looking at is an immigration framework that hasn't been reformed in 30 years. It doesn't align with the economic needs or the moral values of our country. We are a nation of immigrants. We are a country that right now has 10 million jobs that are going unfilled. And I think that's where we need political leaders to recognize that this system is broken. It's been broken for a very long time. Nonprofits like mine try to do the best that we can to provide humanity to these children, to these families, but we need political leaders to stop finger pointing and to actually create an orderly system that allows for people to make their claims, but also allows us to be a welcoming nation.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.